Welcome back to magical Katowice. That's right, we are in the heart of technological Poland right now to bring you live coverage of ESL One Katowice. The first time we've been here as part of the ESL One series. Of course, back in the old days, the EMS series, you may remember that. We were here in Poland 3 times for all 3 finals, and yet Team Liquid still haven't managed to win an ESL One in all those years. We're at the 10th version of that right now. We're in our second game of day number 1 as we look forward to compLexity versus Mineski. 2 teams who are on the cusp of things in more ways than one, particularly compLexity, currently languishing in 14th place, would you believe, in the DPC, and needing a big result here over the next 6 days. We've changed up our panel a little bit. We welcome back Fogged and Cap alongside Nahaz. Good afternoon, gents. How's things?
Good.
Yeah. Interesting first game.
Yes, very interesting. I was casting it. It was very surprising to me that OG lost that despite the lead that they had about 15-20 minutes.
I was sat with Mad. You should have seen what he looked like.
Oh, boy. Did he have some choice words about OG
There was some
play
French.
And itemization,
I can't repeat.
maybe?
I bet he had some words about itemization and that 25-minute
No
moment.
Lincolns, no Lotus Spheres against a Razor. How did you play Lone Druid Bear at that point in time?
Yeah, I think also, in particular that 25 minutes, right? They were just like that. JRX is hitting a tier 2, and then they chain feed 4 heroes. Yeah, I'm sure Mad was not happy about
to
that.
steal a meme, we weren't mad about it. We were disappointed. We were disappointed. We were all disappointed. Will was very disappointed. Let's look forward, Nahaz, and let's talk about compLexity right now. Your boys,
my boys,
in black, white, and red. Huh? I have to ask the question very bluntly, where the heck have they been so far this season? Because they haven't performed anywhere near what we thought they would.
They haven't performed. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think there were a lot of people that were very mixed on compLexity coming in, whether they'd be a factor at all.
Fans of, I'm saying. Fans of, why haven't they performed as well as the fans hoped they would?
To me, what this team has been doing has been making steady progress, with the exception of a captain's draft event, which was just after the holiday that they showed up. They were kind of near their hometown, didn't play very well. This is a team that's been making steady progress, and they got over the mountain recently. They took down EG in 2 straight series, 2-0 in the winners bracket final, 3-2 in the best of 5 grand final to qualify for Epicenter. This is a team that's very much on the rise, but again, just as we've talked about with OG, 25-2 coming in over the last 2 weeks, you got to prove it on land.
Absolutely.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say, too.
Gents, you two in particular, I want to pick your brains because I know Alan's kind of biased. He's a little bit biased towards compLexity. But it's true that they've found something, haven't they, in this last couple of weeks? Have they not unlocked the draft? As Kyle kind of got his head around something? I know I asked him yesterday bluntly, I was like, is it something you figured out? Is it something that's true? And he's like, no, really. We just kind of hammered away and carried on doing it, and it's kind of just starting to feel good. And I don't know, it seems that they've unlocked something, though. I
think they've unlocked a bit more of Z-Freak, giving him more diverse heroes. In the past, I think his hero pool was a little bit more predictable, but now we're seeing him playing, I mean, just in particular within the last few games they played, his Enchantress is getting pulled out a lot more, his Chen's getting pulled out a lot more. Sure, everybody's picking Chen, but then versus EG2, he plays a Silencer just because it's the situation for it, so I think they are giving him more options, and I think everybody even going to say the same thing. Z-Freak is super important for that team.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's world-class, isn't he, Cap?
Yeah, absolutely. He's long been the player that everyone has looked at and been like, not sure if he fits into that team because isn't he so much better than everyone else? But obviously that has been disproven a little bit. I think everyone in their game has stepped up on compLexity. I think the 2 Sweets are doing fantastic. Moo is really performing right now in the offlane. I think the offlane is very good for him in this current patch. I think there's a lot of things that compLexity have improved upon. I feel like there's notable improvement in both the versatility of their drafts as well as the fact that I think they've covered their ass in a lot. In the way that they 5-man, I think they don't 5-man. They don't make the same mistakes that they used to, where they extend past certain lines that they just shouldn't. And then I think they also have been covering their split push game, where typically you just split push against compLexity and you have avenues of opportunity, I would say.
Okay, let's move on to Mineski. Alan, would it be fair to say that these guys are the Mavericks when it comes to drafts? I mean, just a little bit out there.
Sort of, but I mean, the SCA meta is always a little bit different anyway. Yeah. And Mineski's definitely shown some variations on that theme. But I think the big thing is that this is just an incredibly talented team that's hit a little bit of a wall. You rewind back to October, and these guys had won an event. They were consistently getting deep into DPC events, but they got kind of figured out, and they haven't necessarily made the adjustments. I think this team, and I've thought this for a long time, they need to play more around Moon and less around Mushi. And they have made that adjustment a little bit recently. They're no longer picking Mushi, these like Manta-style heroes. They're picking more 2 of the traditional mid heroes, forcing the tempo in the mid game a little bit more.
Do you want to know what Daryl told me when I asked him, what do you guys need? I straight up asked him in Genti, what do you guys need? And he said, a new patch.
A new patch.
Oh, I don't know.
Which is interesting because it makes you think, well, okay, so they think they react better to big patch changes, I guess.
I think they just need to play a lot. I think that's when they start just playing better throughout tournaments. It's in the beginning, they're kind of on that like slump, and then they play like 6 or 7 games throughout the tournament. You're like, wow, they're going back to their comfort heroes. Right. They're playing around Moon. They're picking Mirana. They're picking all these wacky heroes that other teams kind of don't, and they're playing their combos. And that works perfect for them.
They're good.
And Jakiro,
they should be your favorite team.
They are my favorite team for
heroes.
Jakiro. They do. Yep. They play Windrunner, they play Jakiro, and hey, by the way, Mad says you all suck because 5 Windrunners a thing.
Oh, get out of here.
He did. He genuinely did.
Okay. Sure.
Thanks for the backup.
The newest thing is in NA anyway is the 3-position Wind Ranger.
Yeah. I've seen that guy.
Javelins.
Do you know Bomb?
Yeah,
BOMME. That's actually in Europe. He has like 3,000 Windrunner games, and he does the Javelin.
But the thing is you can start as a 5 on a team as a Windrunner, and then you can transition late game into a 3, and that's freaking great.
Or you could just be a 3 and get far to be a 3 anyway.
Or you can pick a different hero. Or you can pick Disruptor and be super useful.
Let's just go ahead and pick Sven.
Let's not get out of control, boys. Let's not get off the topic. Mineski, where they are right now, as we head into this draft, do they start as mild favourites in this, or do you have complexity ahead? Because it's quite balanced on paper, isn't it?
I think this is very much a toss-up because again, I think if you were to go back a couple of months, I think Mineski would have been the easy pick. But I like what Cole's been doing recently, and I also I think the NA meta is actually onto something because watching NA Dota the last couple of weeks, it's all about these aggro dual lanes and the performance in those. And I think complexity outplayed EG in those lanes, but all 5 games, it was pretty much in that series. Whoever played the better aggro dual lane won the game.
But can Cole actually show up here?
Yeah.
Because they've been playing great online and everything, but once they get to the LAN, are they going to actually do that same performance?
Same conversation we just had with OG.
It's like they had that good run in Perfect World. I think
they did.
They showed up at that LAN.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up OG because that was going to be my comparison next. Are they in the same kind of spot right now? Flattering to deceive. They have the players, they have the backup, they have the team, they have everything, all the right ingredients, but they're just not delivering the right cake.
I don't think so. I think this is a Cole team that's in it for the long haul. The organization obviously got picked up recently by the Cowboys. They have those resources now. They are a team that's focused on getting better and building toward TI. I think with OG, we're going to be talking about, especially in that next series, just a tremendous amount of pressure for that team to perform right now. But but let's not take anything away. This is a huge event for complexity because I think they are playing the kind of Dota that can get deep into this event.
Okay. I do think they have a deep understanding of the cores that are really good right now. I was listening to you guys' panel and you were talking about the concept of heroes that are good at every stage of the game.
Yeah.
And I think that we're seeing a lot of those cores picked up in the 1-2, Phantom Lancer, Gyrocopter, those kind of heroes. I think that's acceptable for complexity to do something like that here because it does enable those dual aggro lanes that you're talking about.
Yeah, no Jakiro this time around, boys.
No Jakiro. They pick it with Naga.
The bounty. Wow. Well, that is a Z-Freak Rubik, the complexity staple. Their most picked hero over the last couple of months.
Bounty on a Witch Doctor. No guarantee, no like real good lockdown. I think we could see that PL or that Storm Spirit definitely come out for complexity early on.
This is not a typical Mineski Open, and I like that hard first phase lockdown against complexity because if there's one person I think on call that you can really attack their hero pool, it's Chessie. Since January 1st, they're 17-2 when Chessie plays Lycan, Monkey King, or PL. They're 10-22 with him on all other heroes.
I think the common link between all of those, right, is that they are all very, they have the self-sustain, right?
Yes.
Phantom Lancer is able to deal with a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Lycan as well as Monkey King are really good at being able to not just deal with pressure, but even sometimes put out pressure on those offlaners. So they can, again, enable those duo aggro lanes.
Well, and it's not just early. It's there, and there's the Lycan from Chessie. That's his most played hero, 9-1. And Call likes to do 2 things. They like to push and they like to skirmish. And both of those heroes, they're very self-sustaining in lane, and they can get into those continuous fighting styles in the mid-game, and then when the fight gets won, immediately convert an objective.
Does Kyle ever play the Rubik? He has a few times,
He has a few times,
because I'm thinking like they could still look for a Chen later on here with this type of lineup too for Z-Freak.
Yeah, and give themselves like the aggressive move, Sand King.
I know Bounty Hunter doesn't counter Chen nearly as much as he used to, but
Witch Doctor's decent,
yeah.
But I just think you can group up so hard with this and you can abuse, because then you can put the Lycan in all 3 lanes, because you can have the Chen up there, you send back the creeps, you can just have so much different diversity in your draft because of it. And these two heroes don't really provide you versus anything versus the group up. So if there's a Chen Lycan running at you with these guys, Bounty Hunter just becomes kind of useless.
Now, was it the Enchantress ban that made you sort of think about that? Because
I didn't see the Enchantress.
Okay, I was curious because that's unusual that that Cull would be the side banning Enchantress. It's usually banned against them. And the Brewmaster, again, another here. It's interesting. Cull has banned a lot of, in this draft, Cull's banned like the last 3 that they're really good with.
I think the Brew is just too good versus Lycan. I think you kind of have to get rid of that.
And I think dealing with the Enchantress, Ice, offlane Enchantress against the Necronomicon build of the Lycan as well. There's a lot of strength to that hero.
They take out the Death Prophet, of course. The SF one for me is a little bit different, but the Death Prophet makes, of course, sense with this push that compLexity is forming. They take Puck.
Oh, Puck, Underlord for compLexity. That's a hero that they believe counters Puck hugely, and it's one of Moo's most played over the last few weeks.
Yeah,
there is
playing
something
Puck for Underlords
about Mineski's lineup that just says full-out aggression, right? That they want to be able to get these kills with the track pickup. I think they would be fine.
So
I don't think Cull's lineup. At least through the first 2. I don't think they fear that aggression though.
Yeah. That's Moon's hero there, right? Too. For the
more
than likely. Yeah. He's like always plays that. I feel like I don't see Daryl Ice play those heroes anymore.
I mean, it's Ice, so he's a threat to play anything. But
fair enough.
Yeah. No, that's true. That statistically, it's a Moon hero.
Yeah, he hasn't played Puck in the last 3 months.
In the last 3 months, right? Yeah.
Whereas it's Moon's 5th most played.
I like Underlord a lot, yeah, because he goes the Pipe build too. So Pipe versus Puck.
Okay, so they'll pick up this is going to be their 5. They'll pick up the Tusk here for Kyle, and again, it's just sort of so they're very worried going into the second phase here, especially they're very worried about Mineski just turning this into a huge team fight draft, and the Tusk short circuits that team fight potential.
I think he fixes the lanes a little too.
Yeah, he deals with Bounty Hunter rotations really well.
Yep.
And they can still pick the Underlord if they want.
Yeah, they still can do that.
Just shut them down even more.
I mean, Puck too versus Tusk. You just snowball on the coil, pull them out of it.
Okay, there you go. There's your core Venge.
Holy cow.
Oh, this is so Mineski.
What is this lineup?
But this is
it is true Mineski though. The Venge Puck combo. They love the Dream Coil snap, and they just constantly take the fights. Just constantly use that swap.
And again, this is the big solution that they've adopted to Mushi being a little bit too slow in tempo for a couple of months there. They're putting him on these explicit tempo heroes, the heroes that can fight with 1 or 2 small items.
Are they going to aggro, though? Because their lineup is just, it does not scale very well.
It does not scale already,
It's so bad at scaling right now. A Vengeful Spirit usually is your secondary core to enable a greater core at that. But we already said, hey, that's Moon's hero in the Puck. So the only way they really enable a Timber Saw or Ice, apparently those names are just synonymous in my head, and Ice carry, right, is to give them some sort of aggro lane where they give Daryl a 1v1 in that safe lane. But it's still tough to aggro into that. I mean, compLexity would not have a problem with aggro lane at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think if you go full on aggro as Mineski, you're putting too many of your eggs in one basket. And I also think you're committing the Bounty Hunter to being static, which is such a risk with that hero.
Makes it awkward.
That's the limp TA
versus Puck, because they're expecting Moon just to go on that Puck mid, so TA makes that really hard. Unless you're like super dominant on the Puck, you're gonna struggle versus TA.
You know, that is limp TA is actually one of the highest winning percentage player hero combinations all time. It's just fine Universe Void.
Huh.
Yeah.
TA Lycan. This looks like a pretty good roast draft.
I would really love Mineski not to run Moon Puck in this game.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think they have to give themselves a different mid. I hope this is just a bait by them.
I think that they are going to ban the Underlord, right? Underlord TA Lycan, how can you contest the Roche? I actually don't think you can. The Firestone plus TA Lycan is way too much.
Are you not surprised they didn't take that Underlord there?
Yeah, I am a little bit, because I don't think TA would have been banned.
Yeah, I guess so, but...
Because the other thing about the TA now is that the TA, remember now the TA gives you split push potential too.
Traps.
With the stupid trap talent. I absolutely hate
But on the other hand, the Underlord is the obvious ban, so if they do ban it, then maybe Cold think they knew they were going to ban
okay, there's the Underlord ban.
Yeah, so now they know they're going to ban it.
I just think it's like so much more likely that TA would get through to your last pick.
I agree.
I agree
with that, yeah.
But maybe they feel like Templar Assassin is more unique when it comes to the mids left over, while they're off lane, they're still...
there's still a ban in there.
There's no Beastmaster.
Yeah.
First.
Moo's got a couple,
I mean,
a lot of his heroes actually are taken out, except for like that Tide Hunter.
So the most played heroes that are still left in are the Tidehunter, the DK, and the Nature's Prophet.
Did we not notice that Omni's not banned in this game?
Oh, Omni is the other one that
Omni's not banned, guys. This looks like a really good complexity Omni game with the TA. Repel TA versus this.
And that's why they left it, because they didn't care whether Mineski
I think
banned one or the other.
Right.
Oh, thank God they banned the Tinker. Oh, that was very, very smart from compLexity here.
It's either Omni Knight or they get themselves more team fight with something like a Tidehunter. But I think Omni is going to reduce so much of Mineski's actual team fight, and that fits a lot of Cole's style.
Better, but I think any of the remaining Mu heroes are okay. Tide's actually been statistically very good against Puck.
Yeah, that's why I was saying Omni and Tide.
Much more popular recently too.
You just kill the entire initiation of Puck in a lot of ways.
Whoa.
DK.
Yeah, that's an off-lane DK. That's something that they very much believe in, and it's about when there's a threat of the aggro try or the aggro duel on the other side. They're like, okay, it's a DK in lane.
And you know what else this does? If you're playing Bounty in this game, where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Who do you want to? Do you go to Lycan's lane? Do you go to DK's lane? Do you go to TA's?
It's
kind of hard.
Right?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. Yeah. You can kind of make rotations on TA with the Puck as long as you have a lane ward to keep the refraction down, but it is definitely tough to make the rotations.
Honestly, I think they have too much sustain on the side of complexity. I think you actually need like the OD's pure damage or something to be able to cut through this team, because they are so hard to actually take out with physical damage.
Man, I want to say Timbersaw too, just because you've said it as well, but it doesn't. I feel like they should relegate the Puck to offlane and pick something else for mid.
Yeah, they would have like kind of team fight, but they wouldn't have any ability to pressure these objectives.
Yeah, you look at
they don't have
core
very
silence.
Daryl's hero pool, and it's just there's nothing that really stands out to me here. I mean, Timber, I guess, is the only one you guys have said that. It's definitely not. It's not a Magnus game. Ench is gone. Thanks.
What else could it be? I think Timber and Tide, right?
Ember?
Not crazy about the Tide, but I think if they aren't moving,
I still think I still think you move Puck off and go OD.
It's Timber.
Okay, there's
Timber.
Timber. Can you? But do you? How do you?
I think they needed. I think they needed damage.
How do you kill anybody? You have no damage as Mineski.
Daryl's got to go off in this game.
And do you see him going off in that lane?
On what though?
As Timber?
So Timber or the Puck?
They're gonna.
He's gonna be Timber.
They're gonna try to match the Timber versus DK, and they're gonna put some like aggro dual lane and have the bounty running around. I think that's like the best option for them.
So you're all in on isolating the DK in a 1v1 with the Timber?
That's what they want.
Yeah.
And they in turn,
I feel like the call lanes are too flexible for that.
Okay, let's go down the line and start with you, Alan. Which way?
I have to pick complexity. This is the formula they've been following for the last couple of weeks, but again, same story as game one. We've seen it online. Can they do it on land?
Okay, strong draft. Fogged, enough to convince you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cole. I'm not sold on the bounty hunter this early. I think he got punished too hard with the 3 cores. I think he can't make great rotations. It's gonna be like Ice has to go off on Timber completely.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to just go off on one hero in this current patch. You need to be able to have like at least 2 cores carrying the game. So
and there's Spirit Vessel.
Spirit Vessel,
so
you're gonna have
good
Silver
Timber.
Edge on the DK as well. You're gonna have some mana burning aspects as well. Necronomicon.
Yeah,
it's tough.
All right, okay. A clean sweep from our panel members for complexity this time round. Pray to God they haven't cursed them. Good luck, lads. You're gonna need it.
Well, we thought we managed to avoid the curses when no one actually predicted on the OG panel, but now, complexity, they look pretty solid, Blitz, coming in for this draft. Look, everything good. Mineski, a little bit more unusual, but you can never really count him out either, can we?
Yeah, but I hate Timbersaw as a hero.
Really? Even with Ice playing it, because like that's a splendid thing to watch.
Yeah, that hero...
Why such disdain?
I'm trying to like figure out how to say this. It feels like one of those heroes that has to absolutely snowball, or does very little.
But Ice normally gets more out of his lane than, I wouldn't say most others, but he always seems to have a good time in his laning phase.
Yeah.
With the Timbersaw.
And Ice for me is like he was the model Timber.
Yeah.
When he first came on, like that's I think when I really wanted to play Timber, because Timber's like my second favorite hero. I just watched like 10 Ice replays in a row to figure out what he was doing differently.
What did you come up with after the 10 replays?
He was pretty ahead of the game with the skill build when he just like maxes reactive armor and runs at you, which at the time, like, I mean, it's it's so common now, but like back then it wasn't as common because he wanted to be a little bit more offensive with this hero.
What do you actually think with this game? Like the panel was talking about like what happens if you match up the Timber against the DK, and is this the way you do it? Are you happy to do that on the top lane? Do you want to push Moon around and get him away from that Templar Assassin?
Yeah, I think at the same time, in the past, the Puck versus TA matchup was it was okay for Puck, because what Puck does, Toby, is he shoves in the wave, and TA can't do anything about it, and then you just get right-clicked under the tower. It's not as easy as people think. Like, the CSing is whatever. When it comes to the Timber versus DK, though, that's also not as bad, because Dragon Knight has such a high amount of regen with the Dragon's Blood that it's not as easy for Timber to just shove him out.
No. So what, it just becomes more of a trade-off, especially like you're not going to be running any kind of consumables up to that DK, so he can start spamming out his Breathe Fire, because at least he'll have that against the Timber.
This is like these are both like nice skill matchups to watch. Especially this mid one.
Well, Pimp will have to make the choice as our observer. Mid lane's going to be a little bit harder for Ninja Boogie to harass already because he's got the Sentry Ward down from compLexity. So Limp does have that level of protection, even though they did miss the Observer Ward a little bit further to the east.
Yeah, and Mu taking a lot of damage from the Whirling Death.
This will only hurt for the first level, right? Like, once
mean,
he gets 3 and gets the 2 points up.
It's going to suck for a while. Not going to be real here. But once you get like Soul Ring, it's not that bad. On the side of Mu.
Well, they still need to get some level of CS out of this. Right now he's 1-0 versus the 4-0, so Ice is all over him. Carl's having a hard time on bottom lane with jabs. Like, they got to be careful about this bottom lane, but you don't even have the extra stun yet. Like, VS went for the first point up in Aura. It's all about the farm. It's all about the lane pressure for Mineski's safe lane.
You see, by the way, the Puck, like, he's doing just fine in CS.
Yeah.
There was a point I made about Mineski, like why I thought they were very successful and why I thought they fell off. And when they were very successful, it felt like they had this core rotation of heroes for Moon. Like, they didn't change his hero pool at all, if that makes sense. Like, they would move everyone else around. Ice plays like...
Goodbye, Kyle.
Like,
1 point of Maledict is enough to ensure he's going to tick out. Jabs will get the kill from that.
Very nicely done, but the entire point is like, you can move those two heroes around. Like, Mushi can be very flexible. Ice can be very flexible, but you need one player on your team to like have an assortment of heroes that he's very comfortable with. And for Moon, if you think about the heroes like that he's very good at, it's Puck, Mirana, like those are the two, when they were dominating, that he was playing all the time. So it's like, you got to give your mid player what he's very comfortable at, and they're doing it again.
Yeah, shards up. Mushi trying to cut his way through the tree lines. Hard time when he gets picked up and thrown back in, but the paralyzing cask. Mushi needs some space, but won't get enough. Chessie, with those Lycan Claws, are able to reach just far enough to get the kill onto the safe laner of Mineski.
Yeah. Double Mango, plus his base HP regen with Feral Impulse. Gives him like 6 a second. That's absurd.
Ice is still having a lot of fun up on this top lane.
Yep.
While the CS looks even for now, he's still got a decent creep wave to still mop up. And Moo's quite happy to give him 2 Whirling Death hits onto him, making life a little bit more difficult as Ninja Boogie will rotate in as well. He doesn't really have a lot to work with. Like, he's level 2, but that small slow coming in from both the Janata as well as the Orb of Venom. Yeah, that's not enough.
You see the
charges.
DK though? It's okay. Like, he's CSing just fine. Like, he's only 3 or 4 creeps behind. It's not that bad. And this Puck matchup, like, he's winning against the TA. These are matchups that you don't typically think of as winning matchups, but like, the more experience you get with them, Toby, it becomes better. Like, at the higher levels, it evens out a lot more than at the lower ones.
I actually thought the movement from Z-Freak early on was going to be a little bit more useful just because the vision advantage for compLexity, but you're right. Even with the influence from the supports, the lane matchup is nice and even. The only place the kill's been happening is down that bottom lane. But this top lane's going to be... It's going to come into play sometime soon. Ice is still enjoying his farm. So, as always, having a good time in the laning phase, but it's what they do with it. And maybe that's where our mind should actually start looking towards. Like, do we just keep our eyes on this bottom lane, and when does the balance start to shift? Like, do you look for either side of compLexity or Mineski to move their cores out the middle of the top?
I think the Puck is the most liable to move. I think it's going to be how Moon decides to move his hero around that matters the most. This mid matchup, though, is so interesting for me. But all that thought is the bottom.
Shards into the telekinesis grab. Snowballs coming in too. Mushi not high on health as he tries to run away. The rest of compLexity can't get there. The paralyzing cast practically ravaging compLexity on the bottom lane. And the Maledict hit on practically all of them too.
Yeah. That felt like the most fortunate amount of cast bounces.
Ends up with Z-Freak dying and Jabs finding the kill, so Mineski will be happy with this. This aggressive maneuver from compLexity not paying off. Even though Kyle as well as Z-Freak can be doing a good job, these brothers making sure that Mineski can't just easily pull and change the equilibrium of that bot lane.
Things are still relatively even-ish. Mineski's doing fine. I think they're okay with how the laning phase is going. I think they hoped maybe that this top lane would be a little bit more one-sided, but
yeah, it's neck and neck, that top lane.
The Venge, even with her death, is tops of the net worth, or the CS. So it hasn't even suffered too much. The early laning phase doesn't feel like it matters as much anymore. Anyways.
Going again on Mushi. Shards this time won't block him in. They needed that to happen for Z-Freak to reach his telekinesis grab.
Yeah. It's really difficult now to go aggro against the Venge. This is the upside of having Venge as a core, is that she's very tanky. Like, good stats all around. She's level 5 now, higher level than anybody on the side of compLexity's tri-lane.
Does Ninjabuki get back in time for a courier snipe? Everyone prepare yourself for some rare drops.
He's...
Oh, no! 5 HP on the courier. 5 HP on the courier. Barely survives, and he just put down that fresh observer ward so we can see it. Ice is now flexing his, well, his shell towards Mu.
15 reactive armor stacks.
I was thinking muscle, but really, Timbersaw does not look like he's got... He skips arm day every day.
No, he's jacked, dude.
He's jacked?
You just can't see it under the suit yet. All natty, bro.
So that's his secret. You got to give him better clothes to showcase the guns. Bottom lane, compLexity moving through the tree line once more. They're trying to wrap around the back of Mushi. And with the aggressive observer ward down by Kyle, they notice that no one's actually in the lane as Jabs off to the left. But maybe Mushi finds his own target as Mu up on top. Okay, the Wave of Terror is going to miss. They're bouncing back out again. Maybe Z-Freak won't be so lucky. Caught in the trees with a Maledict. They'll save him with a snowball and goes back to the catapult. But in comes Moon. The perfect time to arrive. He'll find that kill. Mu out of mana up on the top too. So no kill up there. But compLexity's gank not really working the way they thought it would.
Yeah, this is what we talked about, right? If anybody was going to make a rotation, like, what is the TA going to do with the rotation? She can't kill the Timbersaw. Bottom lane is too much of a commitment for her. And this is the downside of compLexity's lineup, is that it's not easy for anybody to really move around and gank. Like, their cores are going to be very stable in that sense. Like, they're just going to sit in the lanes and try to recover whatever they can. They don't have the options like Mineski does. Because Mineski has two very, very active heroes in the Puck and the Bounty Hunter. And even Ice has the option to rotate in, and that's why we see in this mid lane, it's going to be Mu that makes the first rotation.
They're coming down for Jabs right now. Paralyzing cast, going to isolate Kyle, but no, it bounced up to the Ancients, so he'll just snowball himself forward. Doesn't really find the targets. It's already
getting
dead,
low, though.
But this TA, so low on life. The Maledict Pop still got one more hit. Will it be enough on it? And it will be. Jabs will find the tick out as Ice now chasing down Mu. Wherever you go, he'll go too. No, unfortunately, can't go there. TP back out to the shrine inside the jungle to safety. But TA for a Witch Doctor, not the fight they were looking for.
Did you see the timing, by the way? He was half a second away from getting Refraction, and he would have lived right there. But very nice counter rotation from Mineski. And this is the benefit of their lineup, is that they can just chill, allow compLexity to make these moves, and they just passive-aggressive react. Because you have all these heroes that can come in after.
This should be a solo kill right now. Ice is being initiated on. They've got no Timber Chain points. So he's staying inside the shards, but it's Z-Freak moving underneath the invisible Moon. Yeah, who still armor. Decided not to attack.
There's 0 chance they kill him.
I thought for a moment committing both Dream Core, level 4 Orb, and the 1 point up in Rift may have been enough to kill Rubik. But he decided not to. He held it. compLexity have already backed off now in the bot lane. Chasey's gone jungle. Kyle as well as Lim. This is when supports get your money. I'm not exactly certain who... where's those icons over the top of the creeps? To let us know who gets the extra gold. I'm seeing Kyle getting some extra points, so I'm assuming he did the Ancient stack.
I am 99% certain it's Kyle. who has placed a sentry in anticipation for the bounty hunter, but Ninja Boogie then just switches to the other angle.
There's still another sentry there, so they can see him.
Yeah, but without a dust, this is a very hard kill. Both the supports are so slowed down right now.
Ice having more fun with Moo on the top. Got the 2 points now up in Timber Chain as Moo just Dragon Tail stuns him to just keep him at bay.
That was close.
Damage can be fast without that extra Dragon Tail stun time. He may have been in trouble, but he rotates bottom. So compLexity, what now? Turn this into a tier 1 tower push?
They want to, and this is the downside of compLexity as a group, is that they feel so forced. Like all these movements, when they feel forced, that's when compLexity feels the worst to me. And they make this rotation bottom because it's the only play that they realistically have. It's too hard for them to take mid because Puck can just keep spamming out the waves. But nobody's really leveled. Everybody on the side of Mineski is not being hampered by this rotation whatsoever, as in mid lane, this is the play.
Oh, the TP! No, doesn't make it out in time, went for the phase shift, just tried to dodge the stun, but Moon can't get out from underneath that tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, on the bottom, paralyzing cast, Chessie has triggered off dog form, but Ninja Boogie's arriving, so is Ice. They want their target, it's going to be the Dragon Knight, swapped back into the fight, and Moo will go down. So Puck for the DK. Chessie's ultimate also being burned. And the tier 1 tower remains alive.
Did you say dog form?
Yeah, dog form.
Yeah, why wouldn't you say wolf form? It's the same amount of syllables. There's no difference. You didn't even save any time.
There's no logic in what I say. I just prefer a doggy. And you can blame Matubberman for that one because he always called it the dog strat.
Yeah.
So that's where my brain goes with it.
Yeah, but he's got dogs. But he himself, Toby, he's a proud wolf.
He's the alpha dog.
Yes. No, he's a wolf, Toby.
Alpha wolf. Is Lycan technically a wolf? Or is he just...
He's like a hybrid thing, you know? Why are we having this discussion?
Hey, well, would you prefer to actually ask the question, is Tuskar a walrus? But obviously you didn't get that one either. Moving on. Ice adding that pressure on bottom lane. Z-Freak's attempting the defense. And we're only 12 minutes into a cast with Blitz, and after my time off, and already he's in trouble. Timber Chain stolen by Z-Freak. Moo can't go anywhere. Again, this Dream Call will just hold him in position. No way for this DK to survive as Mineski, as 5 dive underneath the tier 2 tower. Moon wants to come back to defend the mid.
Look at that. That's so good by Moon. He instantly TPs to mid because he understands that they have to make this play, but where's the backup?
It's coming. It's coming a little bit late. Ice is coming over. Kyle, he's buffed up or debuffed with the Veil. And he'll run away to the safety out to the east.
I really like that move by Moon. Like, it's risky, but he takes aggro off the tower because they understand they have to keep this tower alive. It's how Lycan thrives. Like, if you take this tier 1 bottom and you take this tier 1 mid, then Lycan gets a free game into the jungle, and it allows the supports on compLexity to catch up. But by denying that, it makes it so the Lycan has to continue to participate in these awkward-ass engagements. Like, Chessie doesn't want to play like this.
He wants to relax. He wants to finish up that Necro book.
Yeah. He's level 7 at 13 minutes. Like, this is not the type of game that you envision as a Lycan. And it's because they haven't been able to take these tier 1 towers that are so crucial.
Well, they've always been holding hands on the bottom lane. Ice with his level 11 is very happy to jump down to Chessie. If only he can get past the shield of compLexity players.
Yeah. And
he cannot do it, so Chessie will finally claim that tier 1 tower. It's the first tier 1 tower. Took 13 minutes for compLexity to grab it.
You notice, by the way, what Ice does is that even though he is very tanky, he doesn't risk that. Because a lot of people get this thing where Kuro used to call it like strongman syndrome, where you're playing a Timbersaw or a hero like him, and you think like, I'm unkillable, because you've survived 1 or 2 instances.
Yep.
But in Dota, Toby, you can get 1-on-5 and go down, and you're going to throw away that large-ass net worth that you built up. Like, he has the highest net worth in the game. If he risks going in 1v5 and dying, it is worth it for compLexity to commit that many heroes.
Ushi, I don't think you even want to start the Ancient Stack farm now. Bounty Hunter in trouble. It's a full smoke
everyone's getting blown up.
compLexity, but the paralyzing cast making life difficult to move in, and here comes Ice, but it's already too late. 3 heroes down for Mineski and compLexity. Maybe now they can take this tower, but they have to push through both Mushi and Ice.
Yeah, this is a very nice TP. He didn't go back to base. He immediately TP'd mid instead, but sloppy engagement from Mineski. Like, compLexity, that's what I mean. You have strength in numbers, you can win those engagements. And they were also very surprised by this TA Blink. Like, Limp has had a lot of stacks to work with. He is not underfarmed. You have to respect this hero right now.
Yep. Do you also just expect that blink to come out first as opposed to just rushing up like higher damage dealing items?
Like the Deso?
Yeah, something like a Deso before. Like what's more common at the moment?
So I asked a lot of TA players, and one of the better ones that I know is CCNC, and I said, like, when do you go the Deso versus the Blink? And he says, I almost always go the Blink, because when you get the Blink on TA, it feels as though you're invincible. It's very hard to die on this hero all times. Good question, though. Because I literally had the same thought. I was like, because sometimes I see players get the Deso, and I was like,
I think it was CCNC in the game early today. He went for the Deso early, but they were looking for Roshan, I believe.
Yeah, if you go for the early Rosh, I think it is impactful. Like, if you can get a 12-minute Deso and you just walk in a Roshan pit, sure. But it was he himself that told me that Blink just feels a whole lot better. Like, if you can get away with it.
As long as you don't fall to the strongman syndrome. Ice is adding a lot of pressure on the bottom lane against Chessie. Kyle's looking at this, understanding he can do nothing.
And look at this, like, he doesn't force anything. Like, he immediately TPs back. A lot of players.
Trees, Greenpeace has his issues.
The rainforest.
Actually, he's cutting almost perfectly through, so he's still okay, no, never mind. Like, large amount of trees dead.
Yeah. He hit the environment, too.
You need to have that, what was that quest we had back in the Battle Pass? How many trees were killed today?
Oh, that was the worst.
With the Timber Source, who would just TP back to base and take it all. Z-Freak, he is tracked up, but thanks to the track marker, he's already retreating back to the Tier 3 tower away from Mineski, while compLexity add their pressure in towards mid. There's Dream Call over on 2, quick phase shift, and here comes a jump forward. Ice. He wants this Dream Call to snap, hasn't happened yet. That VS combination just not there yet. Instead, Jab's actually having trouble with Limp. Doesn't get that last attack off with the Maledict. He's a little bit concerned with the refraction charges going down. Ice. Chains in deeper, looking for Z-Freak. A pick up and throw away. Z-Freak feels safe. And compLexity once again being denied that mid-tier 1 tower.
That's what I said, right? They're going to go for this mid tower right after. They take the bottom one. This is how they're going to create space for the Lycan. But this has long been the knock, Toby, on compLexity, is that they become a little bit predictable to play against. If you've seen one compLexity game, it feels like you've seen a lot of compLexity games.
Isn't it that weird thing, like if you look back at the days where the original Epicenter, compLexity were all about draft something crazy, unusual that's just going to give us this buff up and we can just win that way. But when we saw this draft today, I was almost just like, you know, this is just really consistent, solid play, confidence in themselves to execute the draft.
Yeah.
But yeah, counter predictable.
Yes. But at the same time, like Mineski,
oh boy,
how do you win a fight?
That's a lot of damage on Z-Freak.
Oh, Bushi bodied him.
Yeah. 4 hits on the Magic Missile stun as well, and he came out with Mask of Madness and out of the Shadow Blade too.
He deals a lot of damage. That's like 200 a hit. You are not surviving as a Rubik.
Mm-hmm.
Downside of playing Rubik as a 4 position. Like, a lot of these 4s have these natural escapes. But the burst damage is there.
Moose revealing himself so much. They're going to come underneath the TA traps, but thanks to this smoke, Mineski actually hunting the Templar Assassin. The
Yeah,
DK is obviously a harder one to get, so go for Limp instead. Is there a swap timing? Limp already used his blink, so here comes the Magic Missile. Meld is available, but then again, tracked up, nowhere to really hide. Paralyzing Cask and the Maledict and the Death Ward. They don't want to take any risk of getting close to these Tier 3 towers. And with the TA trap, still not enough time for Mu to get there. He would have come underneath the Radiant Observer Ward. So TA down, no buyback for 40 seconds.
He's not going to need it, though. It's such an early point in the game. The downside, though, or the upside, I guess, of playing with the Timbersaw versus playing against a Timbersaw is that normally when that move gets made onto the TA at top, you have some kind of rebuttal. Like, you would go kill whoever's doing this to you at bottom.
You're going to kill Ice.
Yeah, it's like, as long as he's somewhat careful at this point, he's golden. And now compLexity have to ride this out, because there's no way that I think they can take a straight-up fight. They've got to jump somebody and take a 4-on-5. It's way too hard right now.
You want predictable. Ice is predictable doing this type of stuff. He'd always do it with his Broodmothers and his Timbersaws. Add the pressure on the lane where the other 4 are not fighting.
Yeah, soak up a lot of this attention. That's how they were able to take the mid tower originally. It's just a nice play from Mineski.
He always gets so much experience and gold from it too. Like he's walking around with BTs and a Bloodstone, so Ice understands the pressure he wants to apply across the map. And then going to go into a Shiva's Guard to be even more unkillable, because it's not like 30, like he's walking around with 36 armor currently. with the 20 reactive armor charges buffed up. There's your Dream Core, catch onto the Templar Assassin. Do they have enough into the backlines? The DK, good damage onto Jazz with the Paralyzing Cask. It comes out. It's 2 down right now for Mineski as Moo looks for more, but Ice looks for him. The Chakrams slowing him down. The Maledict pops just too much damage, but the damage is also nice and high out from Chessy using these Necro books to work as Ice plays the Cliff game. They actually steal the Timber Chain. You've lost your Shard, and Ice still wants more. But he won't find it. 3 heroes lost from Mineski, but 2 big cores down for compLexity.
Very nice moves by Ice. Sometimes, though, this is the downside of Timbersaw, is that you're the last one alive. You don't have this lockdown, and everyone just runs circles around you and pokes you. But very nice plays overall by compLexity to make that sort of even. They took that fight very nicely. They isolated the supports first. And the Necro 3, like, this is a very reasonable timing from Chessy. He's done a very good job of recovering in this game.
Ice has tried to pressure him to stop it, but as you said, like, this is what they were doing before. This is compLexity sacrifice. They needed to get that grab. Now they might get a grab onto Ice. Z-Freak holds him in position. He can probably Timber Chain for the kill secure. No, Limp will claim it.
That is what I mean about this Timbersaw. You think you're invincible.
Yep.
Buddy.
But this is the trade-off.
Yeah.
So you've managed to drag almost every single player from compLexity down to
they
bottom
don't have a
lane.
trap in Roche?
And no, they do not. Mineski are now going to get... Oh, the scans coming out from Radiant. Ice is even going to arrive for this. To you... Okay, yeah, Mushi's moving the one down.
Way too late.
They're giving it to him. Yeah, they can't reach it in time. So there is still a decent trade-off. The downside is the fact that Timbersaw lost Bloodstone charges, having that before the gank.
He respawns so fast anyways. But it does give up a lot of XP more than anything. This is a level 18 Timber that you like team took down. It wasn't easy, but they did it. Like, look at the dive in XP, even with the Roshan.
Yep. Some good money in for everyone. It's mainly Limp. Now he can work towards that BKB of his. That way it's going to be a little bit more difficult to dish out that damage to the TA. Not like they have an Omni Knight to give them the repel, like the panel was talking about for maybe 5th pick.
You got to be more careful, though, as Ice.
Boogie, he's underneath the sentry ward. Kyle saw him. Starts his backup. And sentry for sentry.
This verifies. If you're compLexity, though, you shouldn't take this fight. Not with the Roshan up. Or the Aegis, I should say.
Look how they just left the sentry ward sitting there. Maybe they didn't see it in the nighttime vision. But Mushi starting his attack into the tier 2 tower. Ice is on the bottom while you've got Moo up on top, so we've still got that floating 1 from both sides. Trying to add pressure to the side lanes. There's a quick blink out. Limp happy to take the stun before it gets swapped in by Mushi as Kyle able to dodge out the attack. The Centaur Stomp is perfect. And Mushi will go down. Aegis Immortal is triggering as Ice puts himself in harm's way. Mushi can't get out. The shards from Kyle are perfect. And Mushi will fall 2 times. With no real answer to the compLexity lineup, Chessy moves forward. He's chasing down Ninja Boogie, keeping him out of the play. But now they can turn around. The Paralyzing Cask with the Malediction, working with Ice. Kyle can't run out of this one. He has to stick around. Chakram's off cooldown right now. And Ice is focusing on Limp, allowing the puck to wrap up the Tuskar. But does he have much more? Ice wants to keep fighting. You got the small army from Lycan here behind Chessy to help him out. There's no more stuns available. A quick phase shift. Z-Freak's jumping up, looking for the real puck. Silence battling underneath the shrine, needs more mana, needs more life, has none of it. 4 heroes down for compLexity. Chessy able to TP away to safety. But the sustain, we thought it was going to come from the compLexity lineup, but instead it's Mineski. It's Ice.
And that was a fight that I think they should have been happy with just getting the Venge. Like, Mineski very much overextended there, but with compLexity, without the Dragon Knight, like, the lockdown simply isn't there. Once the DK and the Tusk went down, there wasn't going to be any more stuns. You have to disengage at that point. It's not easy to kill this Puck or this Timbersaw when you can't lock them down. It works both ways, Toby. And at the end of that, they were just able to mop up as much as they wanted. Even though it looks like Moon is in a killable position, he's a Puck. You have 0 stuns against him. He has a very free game. And now he's almost got the Aghanim Scepter as a result of this fight.
Then that BKB is not really going to help you. You're still going to get swapped into stunned.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping for, so that Limp, the next time he makes that kind of play, he's stunned forever. As we're going to see right here again.
It's the cast control. Limp and Moo just can't go anywhere.
Yeah. And you see Limp, like, he is at half HP, but he feels as though he has to continue to take that fight. Like, maybe somebody on his team was saying, like, we can still win this fight.
Maybe.
It's like, well, you killed the Venge and you took her Aegis. Be happy with that.
Yep.
It's the little things.
Well, they're coming in for another engagement, so a 4-man smoke up by compLexity. Warding mission as well. These are not real pucks. So no smoke break. Another observe wall being planted down, so at least they establish vision over the Radiant jungle if they get nothing more from this. But compLexity, they have to want this tier 1 tower. But at the same time, surprise items coming in. The TPing in puck has the Aghanim Scepter fully completed. We've actually got multiple ways to trigger on the Dream Core too, because you've got a 4-staff in the hands of the Witch Doctor.
Yeah, you got a Shivas too on this Timbersaw, which makes him even tankier. And that item is really annoying against the physical damage dealers on the side of compLexity. Like, they almost all have physical damage.
It's like Meld and Deso do nothing. Move. Well, he got left behind. The rest of his team is coming over now. The Shard's holding him in, but the Malediction is on him. And here comes Ice with the Chakrams. Tuskar caught in the middle of it, so say goodbye to your DK and probably your Tuskar as well. The Timber Chain doesn't connect, but it won't matter when Mushi is just throwing out the right clicks. They're trying to get rid of the Necro Books, protecting jabs as much as possible, and they're able to do so. 2 heroes lost for compLexity, and they all didn't really seem to be on the same page.
No, not at all. That's a fight it's getting increasingly hard to take these fights when all these items are flying in. The Shivas, the Aghanim Scepter, these are items that you have to respect, Toby. These are not minor pickups.
Yep.
These are significant ones, and for compLexity, it feels like they're just not content. That's the best way to put it from my perspective, because if you're content as a team, you take 1 or 2 of these engagements that are positive, but it always feels as though Cole, they pressure themselves into taking the extra step that they don't necessarily have to take. Like,
So you take one fight, then you're instantly looking for the second one.
yeah, you get this Vengeful Spirit kill and her Aegis, and you think like, we can't just be happy with that. We need more.
Yep.
And that's always been the story of compLexity. Is like they need more. Whereas Mineski, like they're my dark horse team in this tournament. They were very, very close to beating Liquid in that series at was it Starladder? Like those are both very winnable games.
I always just look at Mineski and like even when the panel is sitting there and they're all just saying, you know, compLexity lineup's good, compLexity lineup is good. There's just something about the Mineski aggression which just unsettles a lot of teams. And yeah, just for that pure reason alone, no, you don't want to count him out, but then you're buffing him up with the Bounty Hunter. Here we go again. Tuskar snowball up. He'll take the stun. Can't no way to really dodge this one. So Track Gold starts to free flow the way of Mineski. And compLexity, they have to kind of shore the ship somehow, but Ice. Well, right now he's boarding the compLexity boat. Sits underneath the tower. He does not care. Even gets the fortification out without a real creep wave.
And Mineski, they're daring them right now. They're saying, we're going to hit your high ground.
Yep. Here comes Limp. He goes for Moon, but it's the target. It's the reason why you always say like the matchup is a little bit more fun, but jump in, Chessie, fresh BKB going to work. He's trying to run to the back lines, but they need to get Ice. The Timber Chain will pull him away to safety. Jabs, Ghost Scepter protecting him with the swap out. That will do exactly that. So the BKB is burnt, the Dragon Form is burnt. Mineski can just reset because they've lost practically nothing.
Yeah.
Dream Call's off cooldown in 3 seconds time, so they're ready for the control factor to arrive. And they go again, the Shards forward. Ice, the front line hitter. Gets all the reactive armor charges up from just the creep wave, so compLexity, no, like even if Limp hits him with Meld, it does absolutely nothing. You drop him down
a little bit low.
Okay, he's still at 50 armor.
Yeah, he's just fine. I do like that though. You notice what Mineski's doing? They protect their supports. I hate when teams just abandon their supports. It's just like, well, what can we do for you? Your supports are your stuns. They're your back line as well. Like, they're the ones that are meant to extend the fight for you oftentimes.
Yep. And
you notice that Mineski, they place this premium. Mushi puts himself in harm's way. He has no BKB up. He swaps jabs to get him into a better position. Like that. Like that a lot.
Because if that orb did connect, then it would have been very, very problematic.
And when you're ahead like this, Toby, the easiest, if you think about it like this, like the easiest way for a team to come back into games where they're like 10, 15K behind is to kill the supports, because it's easy to do. It's cheap gold. Because of the net worth differential, you'll get a lot of gold for doing so. And so for Mineski to protect their supports at all times, it's just a good sign of a good team.
Yeah. All on the same page.
Yes.
Now compLexity, like, how do you steady the ship? Like, there's bigger items on the way. The Aghanim Scepter is flying out right now to Ice, so we're going to have double the Chakram fun. You've still got Solar Crest, high levels on the Bounty Hunter. You have a Blink Dagger on Z-Freak. I know he's normally the guy I turn to for complexity, just to make the plays that change the fights around. But like, who is the critical thing? Like, what does complexity focus on when Mineski practically is 5 all time now?
I think you just have to avoid the fights and be comfortable with
Can you do that with Roshan now, being on the platter? They have a TA trap in this time.
Yes. They really needed that the first time around. Like, the fact that Mineski were able to just sneak that.
Complexity smoke's already broken. Moon jumps in. He's looking for the target over on Chessie. Ice is there. The isolation onto Mushi. He gets the BKB off, but into the invis. And Ro8, no, he won't. The Necro units have to stay in close. Mushi has to die to Chessie. No, he doesn't see him. The Necro books it and keep up. So Mushi will be able to escape, and Ice is in there to try and capitalize. If he can find the moment. Jabs and stuns. They did most of the work. Mu, snowball protection is there from Kyle, but in they come. Mushi keeps the battle going, bringing down the shards, bringing down the heroes. Complexity in way too deep. Limp wants to run away. The blink will allow that to happen, but the rest of complexity fully tracked up. All 3 players are. So Mineski have the choice. Do they push? Do they hunt the kills? Do they go for more? They hunted one of the kills down. Limp will die up on the top lane. It's a little bit early for that. Well played, Moon, but still, Chessie on the run from Ice. He knows he just has to TP out this one. So do you go high ground now with a very long death timer on the TA, or is it Roshan?
I think you go for the high ground and then you go for the Rosh. If they go for the buyback, then you just go for the Roshan.
All right, we're doing tacos. Why not both?
Yeah. If they have buybacks, like if you're, because obviously on Mineski, you're not entirely sure. If you're one of those teams that are crazy and you constantly ping out the Bounty Hunter track hold, but
you may not care considering DK's Dragon Form's on cooldown. You know the Lycan Form's on cooldown too.
Oh,
and
Chessie.
Now they get a Dream Coil out.
Nice combo.
And the snap. Goodbye, Chessie. Lycan's dead for 70 seconds with no buyback. Oh boy.
That could have been their fight. If they killed Mushi, do we have a replay of that? Like, Mushi was so close to dying there. Then he goes back, he TPs, I think, to the shrine, heals up, then they all in commit for him again, but the heal from the shrine is a little bit too much. That's like a brutal way to lose that one.
He was the critical one they committed for too, but the Necro units just couldn't keep up with them. Complexity can only see Roshan happening, so they have eyes on this, but Mineski have an Observe Ward up on the hill right in front of the Ancient, so they understand the position of the Tusker. They'll see the rest of them coming in. This Observer Ward's about to pay dividends. They're going to look for the kill. Tracks are up. Sentry's down from Z-Freak, but the Observer Ward's too far. It's a little bit more of an obscure ward up to the northwest. Wave of Terror, Roshan, 2.7k. Here comes the Sigil. They found that Observer Ward, so the vision is now gone from Mineski, but time is running out. Roshan, 600, 300. The window is closed. Roshan belongs to Mineski. Aegis Immortal into the hands of Mushi. And the cheese is also in his paws as well.
Now the key for Mineski is don't throw away this lead. Like, be careful when you go for these engagements. Mushi has to relax a little. You know, you had an awkward fight with the last Aegis, but this time around should be your play. And for complexity, it's try to force Mineski to overextend, continue to push in this bottom lane as often as possible so that Mineski have to continuously go back, because you need to burn this Aegis timer for as low as you can.
Well, it looks like Mineski won't give him the chance. They already drew the line to go straight all the way across the top lane, so they'll get rid of the Shrine. So no way for complexity just to TP in behind them in case something does go wrong. And what do you really get as a trade-off here? Limp can potentially take the tier 2 tower on bot.
Limp needs to push this in as far as he can, and the rest of his team needs to already be top. Like, especially this Rubik and this Dragon Knight. They have to spam out the wave as fast as they can. And you need Limp to be in a position where he can come back as late as possible. He needs to pressure this bottom area even more, because if you get into a position where you just have to get into a high ground fight, it's going to be so awkward, because you can't kill anybody at this point.
Yeah. At least Z-Freak's able to slow it down by taking out the creep wave with both Soul and Chakram, as well as that Fade Bolt, but there's the snap. Exactly what they look for. Mu is instantly dead. The buyback comes in. Limp's already burned his BKB, looking for the target, but the jump flying. Chessie down to half-life, not what he was really looking for, but maybe with the spill damage from Mu, they're really clustered here. Mineski, they're trying to retreat, but they're just splitting up the fight. As you said, with the 4 stars, how can really complexity get the upper hand on positioning? They're going back in again. The Death Ward creating space, the double Chakrams. Kyle, no way up to safety, gets sliced in two as they go in deeper. Mineski, the buybacks here for compLexity. Mushi, the Aegis Immortal will finally pop. The Bounty Hunter will die in the back line, so one support down. Can they get much more? Limp is battling Jam, so yep, there goes the secondary support, but Ice, the big frontline tank with Moon and Mushi by his side. Keep the pressure on, and compLexity's top racks, not only under siege, but in ruins. Z-Freak is trying to slow this up, but Limp's not ready to fight yet. He doesn't have his BKB. He's tracked still in the back lines. They want a good target, but they don't really have one. They go now on towards Moon. Limp held in place just by the Dream Call. They're pulling him down. Limp battling against Moon. He needs more, but the refraction charges. They all get taken out by the Chakram. compLexity, they're losing way too many heroes. The second lane of racks is totally gone. And the buyback from Limp, all it may do is just slow down Mineski as they'll back out before they push again for the bottom lane.
It took like 7 heroes from compLexity. They finally get the 2 supports from Mineski. But at that point, Mineski are like, no, now we will let them die. It's okay. None of the cores on the side of Mineski are dying.
Oh, it's going to get worse too. That's an Octarine core coming the way of Ice. He's got 26 Bloodstone charges and would still have money for buyback after buying the Octarine.
He is so obscenely farmed.
They're coming for what? Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's just watch this top push again. This is that combination the panel was talking about. This is the reason why VS as well as Puck are the combination heroes for Mineski. Coil, swap, straight up. No way to protect yourself with the Ags upgrade.
Really not certain what you're supposed to do here as compLexity anymore.
Pray.
Is that... Did my eyes deceive me, or is that 31,000?
That is 31,000. No deceiving. Experience as well is it's a little bit shy of that. It's about 27,000. The 3-man Dream Coil into a straight-up swap. Jesse evaporated. The only thing you see left of him is the fluff from his back. Here comes the paralyzing cask a little bit further forward, and Z-Freak move. They can't go anywhere. Limp's protected by his BKB, but no level of protection will protect compLexity from this. This is GG. Mineski will take the game with, oh boy, compLexity all day.
We were debating if it was a wolf or a dog, but it's a ghost. I appreciate the light chuckle.
I like it. I like it. It was the one scepter they didn't have. But compLexity, that's a rough game. Very solid draft, as the panel was saying. It was very survivable, but why do I keep seeing this every single time with Ice when he has a Timbersaw? He always gets the space to be that one hero that the panel didn't think could happen. That one guy to actually take everyone on their back and be the frontliner.
When you pick Timbersaw, it's almost always just because you think this hero will 1v5 and win you the game. And that is not exactly what happened, because all of Mineski played very well. Like, the team fights were absurd. Like, if you go watch it in slow-mo, the amount of times that they force-staffed each other to try to save the swaps is very well played by Mineski.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more of him, because we will. That's the end of this one. So Mineski get to advance, compLexity dropping to the lower bracket. But terrific Dota from both sides. Can't wait for more.
Vodafone presents the post-match.
The panel said, could one man carry an entire team? Not quite, but it was pretty close. As close as you're going to get in modern-day Dota, that's for sure. It was all about the Timber Show. It was all about Ice. And Mineski have triumphed over compLexity in what shouldn't have been the case, according to our panel who are back with us. Damn it. Nahaz, you are the common denominator right now.
I am.
Boo.
Nahaz was the problem.
We're all the problem. Come on.
I have
not
no
your
regrets.
fault.
No, I think a lot of people underestimate how much more difficult LAN Dota is to protect than online Dota, because online Dota, especially as you get down with the tier 2 teams facing each other and the skill advantages, the better draft is usually going to win. At this level of play, though, you just never know which edition of a team is going to show up and how these teams are going to take the ideas that they've shown in the online matches and execute them at LANs. Mineski just out-executed compLexity in these fights throughout the game.
To be honest, and also, they got the Mineski draft. I don't think I'm ever going to actually doubt when they get their Venge Puck anymore. I've said it like time and time again when I get it. I just see them do the coil snaps so easily with the Vengeful swap. Of course, you know, Ice went absolutely ham this game on the Timber, but they made some really nice moves playing around the DK ulti and the Lycan ulti. They were kiting around the team fights so hard like this. It was actually really spectacular to see the way that they prolonged the fights. Pretty much DK form would end in the fights and no one would be dead on the side of Mineski.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
like
really
in form, there was so many times where like in form ran out, and it was like, okay, the fight's still going on, but you don't have like in form anymore. Like you're not really an effective hero because again, Mineski utilized the track gold that they got, pick up 4 staffs, and kited Cole excellently. I mean, I think Mineski is just like probably one of the better. Like when it comes to actual team fights, I think Mineski is probably one of the better teams here at this event. I think they execute really well.
Yeah, I think when they're on the right tempo heroes, Mineski's execution is consistently excellent. I just, not to play Captain Hindsight too much, but I go back to the draft and I ask myself, what if that DK wasn't Underlord? I think that's a much more favorable matchup, especially looking at how those fights have gone and how team fight oriented the game was in general. And I look at the decision, typically it's Z-Freak that buys the Spirit Vessel. And I think if they'd have had that Spirit Vessel a little bit earlier on to deal with the Timber Saw, by the time they had it, Fogged, I was saying, where's the Spirit Vessel? And you were the one that pointed out to me off camera. They're like, they have it, but there are no charges.
Kyle's going for it too instead this game. So he's the 5 Tusk. He's going to get it a lot later. They kind of just got ran at. And they kind of played into Mineski's lanes too, right?
That was a weird
They had
decision.
the DK safe lane versus the Timber, so Timber's like, oh great, this is exactly what I wanted. I'm happy. And they won their tri lane and they won the mid lane kind of until the level 5 comes out. So they essentially kind of won all 3 lanes.
Yeah, it was a couple of really small things, a couple of bad shards by Kyle early on in that lane. I felt like they had the opportunity to kill the Mushi Venge, but there were 2 big missed opportunities, and then Venge was sort of, once she got that Mask of Madness in the Shadow Blade, it just felt like Cole had no ability to control Mushi during those fights.
One of the things that Ice did, which was really important outside the laning phase, is that he moved to match the DK's movements as much as possible, which was very smart. But there was definitely one moment where we were talking about it, where they had the fight at bottom at their safe lane. The DK was already level 6. He could have been in position to be able to have that fight, especially since the fight occurred closer to the Dire side offlane tower rather than the Radiant safe lane tower. Ice, even if he tries to match that rotation, would not have had the same effect.
Yeah, 40k hero damage by the Ice Timber Saw, about twice any other hero in the game.
Indeed, 10-1-17 for Mr. Triple Ice in that particular game. Probably taking the MVP. Let's take a look at the bracket right now and show you where we are, because there is another match, of course, going on. Or there was another match going on. It was a very short-lived match, which also had a TA in it, and also ended in defeat. I don't know if there's something to that, but nevertheless, it's what happened in Optic versus Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro sweeping the men in green at the bottom of that bracket. So they'll move on and they'll play Mineski, who just came through against compLexity. That's quite a tasty-looking semi-final bracket, isn't it?
Can we watch both of those, please?
Look at the lower bracket.
I mean,
More importantly, can Mineski beat VP and Liquid beat VG Gaming, so we can have Liquid versus Mineski again? It's by far one of my favorite series.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? In the lower bracket, as you can see, Effect will take on OG to stay in the tournament as well at this early stage, and compLexity will take on Optic.
Cole versus Optic, I'm really looking forward. That's going to be
storyline.
That's going to be great.
Because Cole has been really roundly outdrafting Optic in the last few series that they played in the NA region, but you really worry about that first game getting into the heads of compLexity.
And can they bring it back on LAN? That's the big thing for me, is that, sure, they were so good online in the qualifiers. They need to be able to bring it here.
Yeah, they do. All right, thanks very much, all 3 of you. We're headed to a break right now, but we do have another match just around the corner. In fact, 2 more matches from the group stages and another 2 best-of-3s at the end of the day. Next up, however, it's that old Clash of the Titans. The old boys from LGD against the similarly old boys from EG. We'll see you soon.
A lot of players.
Screen piece has just issues.
The raid wars.
Actually, he's cutting almost perfectly through, so he's still okay, no, like, large amount of trees dead.
He hit the environment too.
You need to have that, what was that quest we had back in the Battle Pass? How many trees were killed today?